What's up, people? It's another edition of the New Breed Show, the world's best music show, podcast, video channel, whatever you want to call it. Talking about everything brutal, new death, hard slam, grind, thrashcore, metal. I am one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM. Tim, what's shaking?
Not much. Fucking
got
tired.
your mood ring shirt. Fantastic.
Yeah,
You got
man.
your mood ring shirt. You got your Zone Zero shirt. You're 2 for 2.
All right.
2 for 2. And joining us once again for a return engagement, coming from an undisclosed location in Eastern Pennsylvania, Mr. Matt McGroarty. Matt, how are you?
What's going on, guys? How you been?
We're hanging in there. We're hanging in there. So we excited about the Phillies or what?
No.
Oh, man. It's optimism, the eternal optimism of the Philadelphia sports fan.
Baseball is the fucking worst.
So here's the thing. Baseball sucks. I think baseball sucks on TV, but there is nothing like middle of the spring, sitting outside on a nice night with a beer, watching a game while you're there. It's different. On TV, yeah. I'd rather just pound nails into my face. It's terrible.
Yeah. If I ever want to go to sleep, I put that bullshit on.
That or golf?
I'd rather watch golf.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a strong statement.
Yeah, I'd rather watch baseball over golf.
Well, I'd rather watch golf if it's Tiger Woods being chased around by his wife with a 9-iron. Who's cheating on her like that. That's worth that's worth watching. You know, right? All right. So, topic of this week's episode, we are going to do another deep dive. This is by Matt's request. We are deep diving on Florida's own Cold, their sophomore release, 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage. So, all right, Tim, give us the details.
All right. I have actually, no, there's not much actually. The normal shit though, right?
Yeah.
Released September 12th, 2000 on Flip. Is it Flip? Or was it Geffen?
Well, it's both.
Oh. I think Gavin distributed it, right?
Flip. Fred just signed them to Flip. That was what his thing was.
Oh yeah, that was his, right?
Yeah, they were the first band he signed.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
Wait, it wasn't Taproot?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whoops.
Yeah, but we should have played that voicemail.
Play before the intro.
Okay, right. We'll fix it in post. All right. So this is Fred's first signing. They're signed to Flip, distributed by Geffen.
I was surprised. I was surprised to see who produced this. Adam Casper, Chris. Is it Vrenna?
Yeah.
And Durst. But
Durst
Vrenna wasn't Vrenna in
Nine Inch Nails.
Yep, yeah. He was their touring drummer. Yep.
Who else was he in? He was in KMFMDM or
I think so.
Yeah.
Skinny
Let's
Puppy.
see here. He played in Die Warsaw. He was briefly a member of Stabbing Westward. He toured with Skinny Puppy.
He was in Exotic Birds.
Yep, live drummer for KMFDM in Money. So the Money era back in 92. Jeez.
Wow.
He's done a whole bunch of producing, engineering. He's done video game music, so Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Wow. Quake 4, Doom 3.
Does it say when he was in Stabbing?
No, it doesn't.
I'm going to say Darkest Days.
It said briefly. It said he was briefly a member of Die Warsaw and Stabbing Westward. Die Warsaw, there is a name I haven't heard in ages.
Yeah.
We got to get Chris Bollinger back on the show to do like obscure industrial stuff.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, he didn't record anything with them. He did record drums for Die Warsaw, but nothing with Stabbing Westward.
Gotcha. So the funny thing is though that the album sales for that at first was 6,200 in the first week, which is strange for me coming off of Geffen.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in what was released? What did I say? 2000. 2000. That's strange.
4 years before Geffen's demise.
Yeah, and it's what is that the same year as Napster?
Yeah, that's when Napster was starting to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well that makes more sense then. Yeah, but after that, it spends 27 weeks on the charts and it sells 81,000 more, and then 465,000. So I guess that's up till now, which is I think that's super low though.
It is low, but I mean, considering it came out in 2000, like you said, right when file sharing took off, it's not the worst thing in the world, right?
Yeah. And then you know Adam Casper is, right?
No.
He did Mudhoney, some Foo Fighter stuff.
Oh, really?
Nirvana stuff. I think he did Bleach.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, yeah. Shit. That's why when I seen who produced this record, I was like, oh shit, because it doesn't. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't sound that good.
So I'm gonna disagree, but there's a but there. This is one of those records, Matt, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. This is one of those records where the first time you listen to it, you're just like, it's good. But the more you listen to it, the more you're like, wow, there's some stuff buried in here that when I pay attention to it, it jumps out. And I actually went dumpster diving in the internet, like into the Internet Archive, to try and find reviews when this came out. And that was what almost all the Blabbermouth, Barvaj Kurgan, right? Everybody knows he reviews everything. And a bunch of other people said, this is one of those albums where it's not going to grab you necessarily first listen, but the more you listen, the more you're really going to enjoy it.
Yeah, because it's super fucking depressing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. Like the second track, Little Things, very depressing track. As soon as like you just hear that piano track that's just going in.
Yeah.
No, she said it's called.
She said.
Yeah. Like, and just you hear the lyrical content with what it's about. It's just like, wow. Like,
so I'll start with you, Matt. How did you first hear about this band? Was it the Fred Durst connection?
So it starts back to 98 when I was reading Circus and Hit Parader, and Fred's getting interviewed with Circus, and he said, we signed our first band to Flip, and it was cold. You should check them out. And then I looked them up at FYE, and I got that record like back in 2001 because I didn't get that one first. I got 13 Ways first. So I'm in 9th grade when 13 Ways comes out, and I didn't get it till probably January of 2001. And when I heard Just Got Wicked, and I don't know what the deal is with everybody using the 1, 2, 3, here we come with the Wicked. Like pretty much everybody wants to use that like Ice Cube sample, but that was an all right. Like Just Got Wicked was all right, but then when I heard No One, that's when I started getting into them. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. This is like
okay. So you got this one first, then you went back to the self-titled, then obviously you're the Spider.
Yeah.
How about you, Tim? Same sequence or no?
Same exact sequence. Yep.
So I remember my brother picked up the cassette single. It was Go Away and whatever the B side of that was. Was it Give?
Yeah. That's what I wanted to talk about.
And
that's
I remember,
I can't stand.
I remember hearing Go Away and being like, this guy's got a really unique voice. And I picked up the album and it was good, but it didn't really resonate. It was good, but it was like, okay, yeah, whatever. This one, I thought this one was exponentially better. It definitely sounded like they wanted to get closer to the radio, as evidenced by the 4 singles they dropped off it. I think it's a more polished outing, but it's way less, I don't want to say aggressive, but it's less abrasive is probably a better word.
I would agree with that, because when you hear the very first record, Scooter's screaming a little bit more on that record than he was on this one. At the same time, I say Flip kind of molded that band a little bit more after the first record, because I don't know if you remember, well, before they were called Cold, they were called Grundig. That was the one thing. And like, actually, Fred actually shouts that out in Indigo Flow. And but the one thing about Scooter was he had long hair, and then Stain comes out in 99 with Dysfunction, and then I feel like Scooter's like, well, I got to do the Aaron Lewis thing now and like shave my head off and stuff like that. And like, and then the dreads are a thing, because like you got Terry and Kelly with dreads, and then Jeremy's got dreads, and then Sam just looks like Count Dracula in the background.
So weird question, but let me ask you this. Out of the two bands that Fred Durst's name was attached to, Stained and Cold, who do you think was the more musically talented band of the two?
See, that's a hard one because, I'm going to say if they would have kept going with the way they were going on the first record, Stained would have been that way. They were commercially, they were more successful, but Cold, like, if you listen to how Scooter sings songs and how he writes songs, I think he has a good flow of how he writes songs. And I always felt that he had a good way of writing songs. And he has very strange stories we hung out with him a couple years ago when they first got back together on that what's it called? The terrible album that
the terrible album. We'll wait to narrow it down there.
No, I forgot what it's called. Shit. Hold on, I'm looking.
Is it The Things We Can't Stop or
Yes,
Superfiction?
The Things We Can't Stop.
Okay.
So we hung out with him, and he's talking about peyote trips and stuff that he was doing on all these, on both Year of the Spider and on 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage to actually write for writing processes. And I was just like, peyote, like, you don't seem like the guy.
Right.
And I'm like, you're writing songs about your daughter on the second album, like, because you're going away, and then you're writing songs about like dumb girls. Well, he didn't write that one. Rivers Cuomo wrote that song. Yeah,
which is kind of amusing. But going back to the first album, Matt, they were a band for 12 years before they put out that first LP. People don't realize that they were around in '86.
Yeah,
they were a local band. Yeah. I remember, you know what I remember standing out to me for this album? The artwork inside the booklet. Like, it's put together like a scrapbook, and there's like cutouts and X-Acto knives, and the spider, which becomes their logo, makes an appearance. I remember looking at it and going, this is kind of put together pretty cool. Yeah.
And I don't know who was, I looked that up, and it was like the art direction was Cold. That's all it was. Like, so you don't know if it was, honestly, the whole thing with the spider came from Sam, because Sam had a pet tarantula, and that's how they got the mascot. Actually, in the No One video, that's his tarantula.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I had to cut my video. I had a sneeze attack.
I kind of figured that's what was going on. You made this face right before you cut your video. I'm like, he's either going to sneeze or he's going to barf all over his keyboard. What else are we missing, Tim? Any other facts? We talked about release. We talked about singles.
Producers. Remember the Anger Management tour?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did that for this record.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I was wondering what tours were going on for this one.
That was with DMX.
Yeah.
And Limp.
What year was that?
Probably 2001.
Yeah, I remember that. But wait, wasn't Eminem on that as well?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, how many years did that last?
That was only, Anger Management was only 1 year, I think.
I'm looking here. Let me find Cold. See, but it doesn't list them on the Anger Management. It doesn't list them being on the Anger Management page on Wikipedia, but who knows? Oh, they only did it for a few weeks. Following the album's release, the band toured a year and a half, 3-week tour with Three Doors Down, a month with Manson before joining Limp Bizkit and DMX on the Anger Management tour. So that would have been, you're right, it would have had to have been the first year, which is 2000 into 2001.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so, I mean, if they did it for the record. I remember
this coming to Philly. Do you remember, Tim?
Yeah, it was at Spectrum. Wasn't it a big touring? Wasn't it a big arena tour thing?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at you know what? They didn't play Philly. You know what they played? They played East Rutherford, which was the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You ever been up there?
Trash.
The Continental Airlines, the Brendan Byrne Arena. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Terrible.
My brother used to go there for Bamboozle. That was the only time I used to hear.
It's a shit location. It's a terrible location, and I don't even think it's there anymore because the the soccer team plays in Newark, and the Devils play, I think. Well, maybe the Devils play there. I don't know. I got to look. But yeah, it just wasn't a good place to see a show. Just wasn't. Giant Stadium was definitely much better. So it's okay. So they toured for a bit. They were on anger management. I
mean, there wasn't really much I could find about this. I also didn't have the most time to look it up because I just been crazy busy. But yeah, I mean, there's not much.
No, I did some digging, and you're right. There wasn't much out there. It was a lot of all sites self-referencing, so it got really circular really fast.
The only thing I remember about this album was a lot of their singles, since Headbangers Ball didn't exist yet. MTV2 picked up a lot of the songs, and they were played during the day, like on the Return of the Rock show that they had on MTV2. And then they would bring Return of the Rock on Saturday nights to MTV at like midnight. Which Return of the Rock wasn't a bad bad show. It was actually a pretty decent thing for MTV, but it was. I remember the compilation. I was not a fan of that compilation.
One of the things that jumped out at me when I was looking at this album, they were 3 years in between albums. So the self-titled was in 97, and then this was 2000, which back then that's kind of a decent amount of time, like a little bit almost too long, right?
Shit, we used to
back then 3 years.
I don't think.
Shit,
so.
We used to think Tool and freaking Nine Inch Nails waiting 5 years was like a long time.
Well, the first Korn is 94, and then what's Life is Peachy 96.
It was right after. Yeah, so I guess
right. October 96.
Yeah, I mean,
and then Follow the Leader was barely even a year. It was 90.
Really?
It was.
No, I think it was 98. Because they beat the shit out of Life is Peachy. They toured that forever.
Well, rightfully so.
Right. And that's why Follow the Leader broke as big as it did, because they spent 2 years on the road,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, other than that stuff, I mean, I don't even really consider this a new metal record, to tell you the truth. This is a straight rock to me.
A what?
I just consider this a heavy, like a hard rock record, if you ask me.
Post grunge kind of thing.
Yeah, there's definitely some grunge moments, right? There's definitely some grunge moments, but to that
I think this is just a rock stained.
I guess his voice is the delineator. See, so when you say this is more like post grunge, this is kind of rock. The only band I can think of from the contemporaries at this time that are comparable would be Kilgore, right? Because they were very much a post grunge rock band. Which, by the way, I can't believe I missed that EP in 2018, because that thing was fucking awesome. I went back, I listened to that all the time. I can't get over how good it was.
They were on Ozfest 03, right?
No, Kilgore was Ozfest 97. The second touring one, which was like the new metal renaissance. It was them, it was Incubus, it was Snot, it was Ultra Spank. That was the year where everybody was on it.
Kilgore is the band who covered Walk by Pantera, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, probably every band does that at once.
Yeah.
Or at one
Pretty
point
much.
in their career.
Yeah. So when it gets to singles, so they did 4 singles off this album.
Yep.
And I kind of think they made some bad choices. Not gonna lie.
Okay. Well, which ones are you thinking?
So the first single was Just Got Wicked, which I think is, if you're gonna release a song to introduce everybody to the band, right? Perfect, right? The second single though is No One, which when we go track by track, it is radio friendly, but I'm not a big fan of that one. And then after that was End of the World, which is it's a beautifully depressing song. Like if they had went Just Got Wicked, End of the World, and then something else that's kind of like a deep cut, maybe more
Be
more
Real
aggressive
cameo
songs.
as well.
Yeah. And then they ended with Bleed, which is the acoustic outro of the album,
which is not Aaron Lewis's only song on the album either.
Right. He's also on Send in the Clowns.
Send in the Clowns.
Which when we go through song by song, I think that was a leftover studio track from the first one. So whatever. Let's go in. So the first track we're going to talk about, the opener, we just talked about it, 4 minutes even. Track number 1, Just Got Wicked.
Just sounds like Stained. I
really?
Mean, it does.
Is that really what you hear?
Just listen to it. It's just, I mean, the vocal patterns are pretty much the same. I mean, it's It's a good song. It's good. It's just Stained to me, dude.
See, my issue with Stained is like Stained doesn't have guitar work like that. That's the only thing I gotta say. Like maybe on Dysfunction, yes, but not on the other ones that they put out. Like that's the thing.
I think if you go side by side and you listen to that second Stain record and you put this on too, you'll see what I mean. There's a lot of similarities.
I can hear that.
I'll have to listen. And
if you put Aaron Lewis on as a singer of this band, it's a Stains record.
Well, see, here's okay, let's compare Aaron Lewis and Scooter Ward. I think while they both can sing, Aaron is more, I don't want to say
monotone.
I don't want to say whiny, but he's more like a vocalist.
He's more monotone.
Scooter sounds like a guy who's literally trying to sing and it's kind of working, but he just sounds so, I guess because his voice is so deep, he's got more of a resonant baritone to me. I find I like Scooter's voice more than I like Aaron Lewis's. And I'll be honest, Mike Mashak from Stained can write some riffs, right? That you're right, Tim. That second Stained album, there's some riffs on that album.
That's a banger.
I think I kind of like these guys.
And Aaron
better.
can scream.
Yeah.
He used to scream, and I don't like.
Yeah, now he just gets up on stage and insults everybody and waves a MAGA hat. It's not a good look.
It's not a good look.
It's not a good look.
Just Got Wicked is just, it sounds like the time frame it was released.
Oh yeah.
You know
it's baggy Jenkos and Yep.
It's 2000-esque all the fucking way.
Dropping the pick down the fretboard. Yeah.
I mean, it's just aggro rock that I think lends a hand to Stained and stuff like that. I think the whole record is pretty much, I'm just gonna say it now while we're on the first track. I mean, all of my notes are like another Stained song. I mean, it's
God.
it's just and all the singles are all just straight radio hits. I mean, that's why I can't really call it a new metal record, because it's, if you think about it, back then, who was on the radio that was considered new metal? Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
Korn.
I mean?
Yep. Late Korn. Yeah.
Freak on a Leash shit. Yeah, but like this is straight. This is pre-Breaking Benjamin rock.
This is here. I mean, what did we call the one album we did? Proto butt rock.
Yeah. This is like pre, like all right, Judge is what you would Judge and all them bands in hardcore, like this. I got not to start, but they're like the proto hardcore bands that everybody knows.
Right.
And then you have, after new metal, you have all that butt rock shit like Breaking Benjamin and all that. This is the beginning of that. This is the godfather of that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
Butt rock with dressing like Hot Topic, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's an interesting put it in a blender. So coming away from Just Got Wicked, I think Matt and I have different opinions on this one. She said track number 2.
Yeah. Starts off with the piano.
Thoughts? Yes, that was the thing that caught me. The piano intro and outro were very kind of Jarsy on the second track.
Yeah. What do you mean by Jarsy?
Like you weren't expecting it, right? They come out of Just Got Wicked, and all of a sudden it's a piano intro, and you're like, whoa, where's this going?
But then at the same time, you know that if they're working with Brenna on that and stuff, and actually Durst produced that song. That's like the one thing about that track. And I've known, like, if you ever look at Fred Durst after Significant Other, he always was trying to do more butt rock type songs with Limp Bizkit. Like,
well, I think he couldn't do that in Limp Bizkit, so he wanted to branch it with, you know.
But
so does that mean Results May Vary is butt rock? Proto butt rock?
It might be.
I have never heard that album in its entirety, so I can't comment.
I haven't either.
We're all like, get away from that.
I heard one song and it was bad. It was called Red Light, Green Light, and it had Snoop Dogg on it.
Yep. Nope. Hard pass.
And I play a couple at work. I play Eat You Alive a couple times at work, like because girls will definitely take the top off to Eat You Alive. Yeah.
I think it goes without saying. By the way, Matt works in a retirement home. Everybody, home. That's why girls are taking their tops off to Limp Bizkit. So we said track 2. Tim, go back after this episode. Go back, fast forward through Just Got Wicked, just listen to the second song and tell me if it passes the second song test. Because I think this
absolutely it's one of my favorites on the record.
It's one of the better songs on the record. I think this should have been a single instead of No One.
She said,
Yes. Yeah.
I
can see that. Yeah. Especially with the piano and everything. I could definitely see that. And actually look at the breakdown in the middle. They're using that melody of the piano. I always thought that, like, I'm like, all right, Scooter's changing it up just a little bit, but
another thing to talk about, we haven't talked about yet with this album. It's long. 13 tracks.
13 tracks.
Two tracks on the Japanese edition. Maybe it's the ADD setting in or getting old. Maybe it's listening to too much grindcore, but that's a long album.
Right? You got to remember, though. You got to remember the time period and the record label.
Yeah, back then they wanted to fill, what was it, all 73 minutes with as much music as possible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted their money's worth.
I mean, the only thing I will say about, like, No One is catchy, but the only problem with No One is he always uses this one singer. Her name is Sienna Swan on a lot of, and for the longest time I thought it was Maria Brink. Like, I was like, who is this girl? Like,
right.
I swear, I tell you, I thought it was Maria Brink for the longest time. Like, but then she's not in any. She's on 2 tracks on the record. But
this and Witch, yeah,
this and Witch. We'll get to Witch, but
eventually,
No One. But No One is just basically
STP.
You really think it's STP?
I think it sounded like STP, and you know what sold it for me? The tambourine. When the tambourine kicks in, go back and listen to it again, and you'll go,
okay.
I can definitely. And well, you said it, Matt. You said they were, they pulled some grunge influence. They were post grunge. That I heard it, and I'm like, this is STP again. I get why this was a single. I don't necessarily agree, but I get why it was a single.
Yeah. It's got all the hooks for radio.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing about, like, I don't think they got to pick their say on the freaking singles either.
No, I think you're right.
I think Fred was just like with my best Fred impression. I like that one. We're gonna use that.
Yeah. Because back then, when you're paying that much for a record, I pretty much think that their executives think they know better than everybody. So
pretty much, yeah.
I mean, nowadays, that's not how that shit works.
No, not at all.
Nowadays, you deliver the record, and this is what we want. Speaking of record labels having outsized influence, I listened to the episode that Ryan Rainbow did on Breed the Killers by Earth Crisis today, and Carl Buechner actually says at one point Slither was the album that their label wanted them to make, that they made Breed the Killers first. Ryan, if you're listening, please come on the show, dude. We're not stalkers. We do want to hang out. We'll let you talk any new metal we want. What did I try to get? I tried to get him on to talk about Methods of Mayhem. I'm going to try. I really want him to come on and talk about that.
Ooh.
But shout out to Ryan. If you like what me and Tim and all of our guests do, definitely check out the Meep podcast. He's kind of nuts. Okay, so we talked about No One, STP, the tambourine, very radio friendly. Now let's go to track 4, which I think is one of the best songs in the album, End of the World.
Yes.
And the way it intros with just the drums, right? Tapping the rim of the snare.
Yeah.
I think that's everything that makes up their type of music is fit into this song.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it right there. That's basically exactly what I was going to say.
I think I would have had this as the lead-off single. I think I would have made this the lead-off single, then followed with Just Got Wicked, and maybe either No One or something faster paced. But the thing I went, so I listened to this album like 4 or 5 times, and the thing that jumps out at me about this song, it is very, very hard, but not heavy. Not heavy the way we think of heavy, but it's a hard song, right?
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard for the radio.
It's hard, definitely.
Yeah, and it's. I put my God, this is depressing. That was my one note I had here, because it's a beautiful song, but his voice lends itself to depressing kind of music.
Yeah. He's always kind of written depressing kind of lyrics. That's pretty much what Scooter's lyrics are.
And this was the album, Matt, was all about him being depressed and like problems with drugs and alcohol and friends betraying you and all the, I hate to say tropey stuff from the new metal years, but it is kind of tropey, but his music, his voice is fit for depressing. Like, I mean, it should be. I mean, if he had that voice and he was singing like upbeat shit, like, I'd kind of get a little confused. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Amel,
it's like him. Poppers? It's like him on Hybrid Theory.
That would be an interesting experiment. Somebody that can duplicate his voice singing like Paper Cut. See how that would go?
It would totally be weird.
Well, since we were talking about Aaron earlier, the 1 year Family Values tour Stain was on with Linkin Park, right?
Right. It was like year 2 or year 3 or something, right?
Yeah. If you ever get a chance to listen to that soundtrack from that tour, there's a version of Linkin Park doing One Step Closer with Aaron, and Aaron singing singing the hook. It's really hard to listen to, man. It's like I can't do it. Like
someone said today someone said today we should dive that live Family Values record. That's hilarious that you brought that up.
I would do that. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, those were good years. Those were definitely good years of tours. Like even when they tried to bring them back, they weren't that bad.
Speaking of collaborations, let's get off topic for a second. Have you guys heard the new Bartender that Head PE did with Dropout Kings?
Yes, Dropout Kings. Yeah.
Have you heard it, Tim?
Yeah.
No.
It's actually a really good update of what was a good song. Like it fits, right, Matt? It fits.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. I actually liked it a lot. Yeah.
I'll put it in queue.
If you think, right, Tim, you'll get
Tim. It's going to show up in your Facebook feed. I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm sure.
The second verse from Bartender isn't done by Jared. It's done by the guy from Dropout Kings.
Yeah.
And he changes the lyrics a little bit, but it works. Like I really think it's pretty good. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it's an enjoyable listen.
Yeah.
So when this episode comes out sometime in the summer, people are like, when were you guys fucking talking about this? Like that's Matt, Tim and I have stopped talking about the weather because there's a delay between when we record versus when we release. People are like, yo, you guys are talking about snow. It's 96 degrees outside, July 4th weekend. What are you doing?
Yeah,
I remember we for that snot deep dive for like almost a year.
Poor Noah. Yeah, we Tim and I got too excited and banged out too much content too fast. It happens.
Dude, we still have 16 episodes in queue that aren't even released.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. And we do feel kind of bad, but so if you're listening, we are trying to get your stuff out as fast as possible. But we do once a week.
Keep on them out. We'll keep listening.
We do once a week because we don't want to burn ourselves out. So let's go past End of the World. Let's go to this is track number 5, Confession, and this is 3 minutes 49 seconds. Tim, what were your notes on this one? Another Stain song?
No. This is gonna make you laugh. If you sit and this is one of my favorites on the record because I think the way he does the vocals in this just grab you like a certain way. But if you listen to this song, just listen to it and then listen to something on 16 Stone, and you'll be like, wait a minute. Is this sounds like Bush for something?
Really?
Listen to this song.
Okay. I'm gonna make a note.
Really put on headphones, listen to it, and look at the Bush comparisons in this. But then when Scooter sings, it's like, all right, this is cold. But just listen to it.
All right.
That's what I mean. I know it sounds crazy to people listening, but it's probably ridiculous. But yes, just listen to it. You'll see what I mean. But yeah, this is one of the best on the record for me. I just love the vocals in this one.
I think you're right. Matt, thoughts?
I definitely think this is a good track as well. I didn't see the Bush 16 Stone reference, but I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, now I want to listen. I'm like, shit.
Not really just, it's just Bush. It's just the way like
just
they
Bush
write
in general.
The way Gavin does his vocals.
Right.
It's you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
I wish we could play it, but YouTube will flag us and kill us. So somebody will literally come to my house and fucking hang me from a rafter if we play this.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Like, YouTube will first class send someone.
Hey, how does Roach Coach get away with playing music and you guys don't?
I have no fucking. They're not on YouTube, are they?
No.
No, they're audio only. Yeah, as soon as we throw the video up. Yeah. Yeah. My notes are here where, wow, this is depressing. The guitar layering works, the eerie effects versus the regular guitar. And then I put the chorus is where the album title comes from. You'll never be anything more than me in 13 ways to brilliant on stage, which is
That
really fucking dark. Really dark.
I always love that title though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you're a young buck and it's like, wait a minute, like that's super cool. And then when like you're older, you're still like into it, you know.
By the way, I'm drinking beer. It's been in my beer fridge for like over 2 years, so God knows what's going to happen to me. If I start drooling and fall over, Tim, take over, because it's not. This thing is foaming out of the can. This was like Christmas 2 years ago, and it was 12% back then. So who knows what it is now?
Wow.
It's probably like 19.
Yeah, it's probably about 19 at this point.
My eyes start crossing. So after Confession comes the song that I had no idea what he was saying in the chorus until I actually looked it up. It's All Good. 3 minutes, 43 seconds.
I have a lot to say about this one.
So the whole "It's All Good," I had no idea he was saying good until I finally.
God for the longest time.
Yes. I think this is the closest he gets to rapping on the entire album. Like that staccato delivery.
Motherfucking that thing.
Yep. But I think the chorus. I was just making fun of it, but I think the chorus is great. What do you think, Matt?
I do like the song. I didn't know, but I did think he was saying God for the longest time with that whole line. But it's a good track. Like, I just thought, I had to always rewind back because he was just talking really fast with everything. Like you said, he is rapping pretty much.
Tim?
Should I do the drum roll for you?
Go on.
It's my favorite track on the record.
I can see that. It's a good song.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite track. I love the chorus. The chorus is what gets me on this one.
Yeah.
You guys are 100% right with that.
And if you go back and listen to it again, this is the closest they come to the Beatles' traditional song structure. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, verse, chorus. Like that's or pre-chorus, chorus. Yeah, it's about as close as they come to traditional song structure ever.
Yeah,
but I mean,
this is typical hard rock right here. I mean, this could have been on the radio as well.
Yeah. And I mean, we're six tracks in on the album, and I think the three of us would agree that we're at least 5 for 6 as far as like great songs. So that's a pretty good sequence right there, right?
Yeah, you got to remember though, back then bands actually cared about what they wrote and what they put out on wax. You know what I mean? It's like not nowadays you don't really get that passion anymore especially because back then you had something to prove. Nowadays you don't.
Do you think, Tim, because
it's
too easy? Like with Bandcamp,
it's fucking easy.
It's easy,
you're right? Back then, it was an accomplishment to get put out on Geffen. You know what I mean? Nowadays, you don't have Geffen. You don't, and you know, big labels don't put out bands like this anymore. You got your top 40 stuff. You don't get. It's not an accomplishment anymore. So you always got the better music back then. That's just my opinion. In my old opinion, I'm going to be.
I think you're right. I think they had to work for it. So it was a bit different.
Yeah. I mean, in touring is way different back then too. Like touring, like you were actually a rock star back then. There's no rock stars anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, so no one gives a fuck because they know the most of it. 90% of bands aren't going to live off of this anymore. Back then, you could live off of it. You know?
And now when you live off it, it's more of like a hustle than anything, right? You're doing Bandcamp, you're doing Spotify, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're selling merch, you're doing this. It's way more work.
And I think back then, I think it was more of a lifestyle. Nowadays, I think it's more of a popularity contest. And you especially see that in harder genres.
Whose podcast was I listening to where they were talking about how they interviewed some artist who said, yeah, I just want 1 million streams on Spotify. I don't ever want to play live.
Yeah,
I just want 1 million streams.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I mean, it's.
And I forget who it was, but they said, are you fucking kidding me? The best part about being a musician is getting up on stage and moving a room. And maybe we're all old. Maybe the three of us are just Grandpa Simpson yelling at clouds.
Matt, how old are you again?
37.
Yeah. So we're all basically the same age.
Yeah.
So you got to think though, back then, Like it was, like I was saying, an accomplishment thing, and it was a lifestyle thing. Like people actually idolize these people nowadays. You don't idolize people in bands anymore.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there, because like half the time people are idolizing rappers or something like that, or wannabe rappers who think or who try to be freaking pop punk musicians half the time.
There you go. I mean, there's nowadays people idolize, you know, who's the black chick rapper?
Megan the Stallion.
Yeah, like people like women idolize them now. I mean, it's just a different,
or Cardi
generation.
B. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
It's different. It's not touring and album sales and packing arenas. It's who's on the internet, who's got YouTube views.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but people, you know, things change. But you have to realize that back then, labels wanted 13-track albums because they knew that, like, look at Brandon Boyd. Back then, every fucking chick loved him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had to keep up your appearances back then. Nowadays, no one gives a fuck because you can put it out on Bandcamp tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's maybe the internet has made it, while it's made it easy for us as fans to find new stuff, it makes it less effective. Less there's I don't want to say there's less gatekeeping, but there's, you know, people like Mike Gitter, Monty Connor, Howie Abrams. Like, there was something to be said about someone who had an ear, who said, "Oh yeah, Matt's band is good. We got to get them some play."
Think about this. Back then, when a band put a record out, you were fucking excited to go buy that record. Nowadays, you know you're going to wake up on Friday. It's just going to be in your it's going to be in your Spotify account already because you probably pre-added it. You don't get as excited anymore because you know you can go listen to it whenever. That is 100% fact. And if someone disagrees with that, they're living in a dream world, because even when the Deftones put out their newest record, it's my favorite band, but I wasn't as excited as I should be because I knew it was right at my fingertips. I didn't have to go get it.
Friday morning on the way to work, I just pull it up on my phone and there it is.
Exactly.
So speaking of that, Matt, what's coming out soon that you, wildly off topic, what's coming out soon that you're looking forward to?
Well, let's see. Like, ever since you got me in this, what?
The new Tala.
Tala's coming out in
Yeah, September.
No shit.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
You didn't hear the new single?
No.
Oh my God, what the fuck are you guys doing?
I'm busy. I can't get past the new.
Last thing I heard from them was the Aladdin thing that they did, and I was all about that.
Yeah, they have a new record coming out.
Shit.
So go on, Matt. What are you waiting for? What's coming out soon that's got your ears peaked?
So I really have been listening. Well, you guys got me on the Sleep Token thing for a while.
He's good.
They're really love that record. I want them to come here. That's like all I want now. But what I'm waiting on, I want another Loathe album already. I'm already waiting on it.
Yeah. What? So did you check out that remix album that they did? What did you think? The last one that came out.
Okay, the last thing I heard them do was with the Sleep Token thing that they did.
No, Loathe. That they did that whole album, which was a remix of the one previously. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, I love that. That was great. Yeah, that was a great record.
Oh, I thought. Oh, Sleep Token. What didn't they do something with Loathe? They just did a collab that was great.
They collaborated or something. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Sundowning is the better record.
Sundowning is a good record. Yes.
Is that which one is that?
That's
Sugar.
the first record.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love the newest Sleep Token. Like what's that? The Alkaline or whatever. That song Alkaline is beautiful, but you're right, Sugar. And there are some songs on that last album which we are like,
what is up with Jay?
I went back.
Jay always messes up the leans. Adrenaline, he always says.
Oh, I don't know. Whatever. Leave me alone, dude. I'm drinking this 19% beer. It's been in my fridge for 2 years.
When we first started the show, he would say adrenaline line or something.
I thought it was adrenaline. I didn't realize it was adrenaline.
And I'm always like, the fuck is he talking about? But I never said anything.
Jay, I even went back further on their rabbit hole on their very first couple records that they were putting out by themselves. And holy shit, the covers on there, like they covered like Whitney Houston, Hey Ya.
They've got some skill. Like they are talented musicians.
And I don't even know who this kid is. But he's good.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? I got to be honest with you, Matt. Whenever I think of Sleep Token, you know what band also shows up in my brain as like no, and it has nothing to do with Sleep Token. Imperial Triumphant, because it's two bands that wear masks and it's very much stage presence. However, Sleep Token is more radio friendly, like crooning. Imperial Triumphant is truthfully three nerds in art school who are like, yo, you want to do like a weird proggy jazz band? Yeah, let's fucking do it. And our logo is a giant cockroach climbing up the Chrysler building.
It's like three Harry Potters playing yeah.
Now, live, they pull it off. I saw them at the Decibel Fest and they pull it off. And that's one of those albums where you put it in, you listen to it, you're like, okay, this is good. I'm not probably going to go back to this every day, but it's not a bad listen. But yeah, for some reason, Sleep Token and Imperial Triumphant cross over my head, which is kind of fucking funny because they're nothing alike. Yeah. All right, let's get back to go on, Matt. Go on.
Yeah, quick thing. Is Jesus Peace But Not, I think, soon, or
not sure.
I don't know if they have some touring coming up, but
they've been playing like nonstop. They played the Gridiron in Phoenixville up here the other day, and I didn't even go to it, but I thought that was pretty cool. But like I was like,
is that the Polish club up there?
Yes.
There's a record coming out soon that you're gonna love, and I can't say what it is yet.
All right, we'll wait till we're done recording. All right, so let's go back into this album. Track number 7, which is technically Tim and I make a joke. Track 7 is typically the cover song. This isn't a cover, but it shares the name with the popular song Send in the Clowns. This is 4 minutes and 13 seconds with Aaron Lewis. Matt, you go first on this one.
I fucking love this song.
Really?
It's not that bad.
Why?
It's catchy. That's all. I think like the chorus is catchy, and I liked Aaron's scream on it. Like I thought that was actually pretty. It was not bad. The thing is, I just was like, all right, Fred, you signed these guys. Why are you not helping out with them? That's my only issue here. This is what I was trying to tell you earlier. Like, you market this band, but you don't do anything for this band. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, what album were they working on at this point? Was this was before? This was after Significant Other. They were working on. Who was Limp Bizkit working on? Gold Cobra. No, Chocolate Starfish.
Chocolate Starfish.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of just a weird. I don't know. It's kind of like
he probably thought that it was going to sell itself. I mean, from the first, the first record wasn't that a big, huge phenomenon, but like,
yeah,
it did okay. Yeah.
Especially you would think with the radio play that it would sell itself, but I guess
Yeah, you would have thought. Tim, what were your thoughts on this track?
This is the newest song on the record. I mean, it doesn't get more new than this one. This is the only new one on the record.
This is pretty
really.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I got some notes on a later song. We'll come back to that one. I put this as this is the tempo change palette cleanser. It's at the halfway point of the album. It's fairly.
This is
quick,
like elite
paced.
This is elite White Pony.
Yes. Yeah, what a great fucking album that is. But we'll get back to that. I put track number 7. Aaron, here we go again, LOL. And then I put, is this an old song? It kind of sounds like this is a leftover from the self-titled sessions because it's so heavy comparatively to the rest of the album. And go back and listen to the first album, Matt, and then put this song in right after. You let me know if you agree, because I think this is kind of like maybe it's scratch tracks from the first album, but it kind of doesn't fit almost.
See, the only thing with self-titled, Jay, that I always thought was weird was he was doing this weird muffled, like meatwad voice, like on, like he's like, I'm like, Scooter, what the hell are you doing over here, bro? Like,
they probably took him aside and were like, yeah, stop that shit.
Yo, stop it, meatwad. Oh my God, the Photoshop. I can't wait to Photoshop this. We're gonna have some fun. Well, also to that point, Matt, on the first album he actually played guitar and sung. This is the first album where he chucked the guitar, and I honestly think maybe, and I'm not a singer songwriter, whatever performer, but maybe that gave him a little bit more room to do more with his voice.
Yeah,
because he wasn't lugging the guitar around.
I think that was I think that's what they were saying on a couple of interviews, because he said that's why they got Terry Balsamo in the first place, which he was a friend of theirs growing up in Florida. And then they ended up getting him in the band, and he played with them a couple times and became an active member of Cold.
What didn't he go to? Where he go to Evanescence after that?
Evanescence, yeah.
Well. If you listen to the interview, the new one we do with Hunter for Mood Ring, we asked him the same thing about why he stopped playing guitar, and he said because it was either my guitar playing is gonna be really good, my singing's gonna suck, or my singing's gonna be really good, and my guitar playing is gonna be terrible. So I just took the mic, and you got to think about that too, especially then, like because it all goes back to back then when music was genuine. Because a lot of bands, especially the front man, they want to be the center of attention.
Oh yeah.
Remember, and who did I say that to, Jay? That got like mad. I was like, all you singers always want to be the center of attention.
Ooh, who was that?
It was on Ill Street, and the dude was like, well, what the fuck? And I'm like, it's the truth though. Like you guys are fucking you like was singers. No. Jordan wouldn't care if I said that.
No. It was who was it?
It was somebody. It was somebody in a hardcore band. I'm like, you guys are all fucking queens. Like, you want to be the center of attention, and you want everyone staring at you. And the dude pretty much got mad, and I was like, whatever. I don't give a fuck.
It wasn't Frankie, was it, from Amur? No, he was mad about it. He was mad about everything else. All right. So moving past Send in the Clowns, it's a palate cleanser. Old song, new song. Who knows? Now we're getting deep into the second half of the album, right? So we start with track number 8. This is Same Drug. So I'll go first on this one. I put here, first of all, it's back to a slower tempo. So they went faster for Send in the Clowns and they dropped it back down. I thought this is some of the most intricate guitar work in the sense of they layer the clean guitars over the distorted guitars. So the sound profile is really kind of fascinating. For me, that was the thing that stood out on this song.
This is my second favorite track on the record. I've also heard this 2 million times. I mean, this was everyone used to play this track.
Yep.
This was this on the radio?
No.
Yeah, this was like a party song. You always heard this at parties.
Was this the one that was in A Walk to Remember? I forget.
It might have been.
I don't remember, but this song is like, this is a chick song.
No one. But yeah, this is you're right, Tim. Now that I remember the chorus, this could have been in on any 2000s rom-com college coming of age love movie, and it would have fit right in. Yeah,
absolutely. Like she what's that fucking movie called?
Can't Hardly Wait, or
it's like
we should do a deep dive on the Can't Hardly Wait soundtrack. That movie was so fun, but right now all I can think about, Matt, is killing me, because every time I look at this video, all I hear is fucking Meatwad in my head, and I'm kind of losing my pain. I'm kind of losing my composure over here. I can't get past Meatwad. Now let's go to what I think I have here is the hardest song of the album, track number 9, Anti-Love Song. So
okay, Stain bass intro.
Yes. Yeah. But he yells. It's not over, but it's over now. He says motherfucker like 6 times, and the way he enunciates motherfucker, like you're like, yeah. I'm here for this. I don't understand why this was buried on the B-side though. Like, I might have thrown this up in between End of the World and Confession, or even She Said and No One, right? Like, maybe it would have sounded too schizophrenic, right? Because we all know how my tastes are. But I think you could have thrown this up higher to keep the heavier looking fans maybe paying attention longer.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
see, the thing is,
go ahead.
The thing is, this could definitely be a single too. This definitely could be a single. This song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, this shows his vocal range that nobody saw on the whole record already, because he's pretty much monotone for the most part. But like, a certain thing about him is he can't even hit. I was going to tell you guys this when we saw him live a couple years ago. He can't hit most of those notes as much as he used to anymore.
What, the loud notes?
The loud notes, yeah.
Neither can Chino.
What is he, in his 50s now?
Yeah, he's
probably
in his 50s. Yeah,
I mean, your voice can't handle it after a while.
Dude, he's 7 years older than me, so that makes him Oh God, he's 52 this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, look at Chino is up there.
Yeah.
But was Scooter into the drugs and stuff?
Yeah.
I think so. Didn't you have to be at that point?
Drinking will affect your voice if you're a singer really, really bad. I mean, that's why you. I mean, look at Phil from Pantera.
Oh,
He sounds like a fucking.
He's
we're
fuck right now. We're gonna play a song.
Fuck right now.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna tell you something right the fuck right now. We're gonna play Domination and we're gonna lose. Rex hit it.
He just sounds like he's drunk all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, the alcohol will fuck your cords up, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the heroin doesn't help, but
No.
Plus, I would think unless you learn how to yell or scream or whatever correctly, it's got to take a toll, right? Like, I mean, it's kind of like, but I don't think it takes a. I mean, take a toll is probably the wrong. Tim, you and Matt, you guys are both in bands. Tell me, I don't know if take a toll is the right word. If anything, it's kind of like when you run marathons, you get conditioned and you condition your vocal cords, and because of that conditioning, you start sounding different because, like, your tolerance is that the right word? Your tolerance is higher. I don't know.
we got to think about the club scene that you play too. You got all the cigarette smoke back then. I mean, that shit all affects you in the long run, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a smoker, so I'll definitely say like it'll affect me certain days, like when I like am practicing and stuff like that. But I remember we would be in our practice spot over the summer, and I would blow out vocal cords like just from like not having the amp all the way up, but my guitarist at the time, he's overpowering his fucking amplifier, and I'm just like, dude,
so he's making you stress out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants to be heard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if it's not the lead singer, it's the lead guitarist. It's always the ego.
It's always the pretty boy. It's the pretty boy guitar player. Yeah.
So I think I really like Anti-Love Song. I think it fits the tone of the album. It's really, really heavy, hard, I should say, really hard. But I think it definitely fits the tone of the album. And then we go right from that into Sierra Swan Shows Up Again, track number 10, which I think this is one of the best songs on the album.
Me as well.
I really do.
I take it back. This is a new track as well. Now that I think about it, like when I listen in my head, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much a new metal track as well.
Oh, yeah, the stuff Sierra did on the track, it's very new too. Like that little solo that she did. I was like,
yeah,
well, yeah.
I think the chorus is great.
Says, man, that the track on the next record that she does, the Suffocate. I fucking love that song.
I love that song. That fucking
is it Suffocate? Is that the one that she does?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they go back and forth in the chorus.
That next album is fucking great.
Oh,
but I couldn't listen to it for years because I used to listen to it with my ex-girlfriend and we had a terrible breakup. And for the years it kind of ruined me, right? I got dumped by, it's a long story. But
it was your record.
It wasn't, it wasn't a record. It's just when she got in the car, I wasn't putting on fucking Vulgar Display of Power. There were a few albums I can get away with listening to with her. That was one of them. Make Yourself or Morning View, stuff like that, right? Like Kim, I knew Kim was the one for me because I could get in the car and I could put in either Hot Damn or I could put in New American Gospel, and she was down for it. And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's party, you know? Last time I saw Slipknot, now that Matt reminded me, the last time I saw Slipknot was with Lamb of God and Gizmachi at the Spectrum.
I was at that.
Slipknot sounded terrible, and I think
Shadows Fall also on that show?
Shadows Fall. Yep. Yes, it was Gizmachi, Shadows Fall, Lamb of God, and Slipknot. Slipknot sounded terrible, and I think it's just because it's got to be hard.
The sound in that place is terrible anyway.
True, and then the sound guy's like, "Yo, 9 guys? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I gotta level 9 guys? Yeah.
Gizmachi just put a record out last year.
Really?
Wait, they're still around? Oh shit!
Yeah, they just put out a new record. It's pretty good too.
Tim listens to more music than any human in 1 month than most normal people do in a year. It's kind of terrifying.
I listened to 7 records today.
Jesus, I fought to get in cold twice. All right, so let's move it along. We're coming out of which we're going to now we're getting deep. Track number 11, Sick of Man, 404. 4 minutes, 4 seconds. Matt, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's all right.
Yeah, this is a skipper for me.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, I skipped this one. Not gonna lie.
Like it
I
doesn't.
love the harmonic intro. I love the intro of it, but after that, it's just nothing to it.
He doesn't do his baritone voice at all. It's all high and him singing. And to me, fast forward.
Yeah, me too.
So coming out of Sick of Man, we go to Outer Space. This is track number 12. Now we're really deep. 337.
I love the bass tone in this one. There's just something about that bass tone that I love on this one. This is definitely almost my favorite one on here.
It's a good song, and like we've talked about, I'm a sucker when they don't bury the bass. Yeah. Like when they keep the bass prominent, that's where Matt as the engineer is saying, this guy can legit play. Let's not Newstead him.
yeah.
Let's not Newstead him and bury him in the bottom of the mix. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's got the typical 2000s bass tone in there.
Yep.
The overdriven bass that everybody was doing, which I love though, because I'm the same way. I love when you can hear that shit.
Matt, thoughts?
I love this one. This is definitely a good track on this one.
It was really. I have notes here. Like this is an oddly fun song on this album. Oddly fun because everything else is kind of depressed. This is more upbeat. It's kind of the tempo's kind of moving. The bass is up in the mix. I thought it was kind of an odd choice because it's kind of upbeat. If you're going to be depressing, be depressing. You know what I always think about? I think about that story about when The Cure did their self-titled album with Ross Robinson, and Ross picked the song sequence and he gave it to Robert Smith, and Robert Smith said, "No, we want our fans to enjoy the album, not kill themselves." And if you go back and listen, The Cure is depressing in and of themselves, but that album is really dark. And Robert Smith has been asked in multiple interviews, like, what was Ross's track sequencing? And apparently Ross has been in interviews where he talks about how he has his sequence burned to a CDR that he still listens to. So I would love to hear that, right? I would love to hear what he said, because that album is, we should deep dive on that specific Cure album because it's got the Ross Robinson tendril. It's really fucking depressing. It's good, but it's depressing.
Imagine if Ross did Pornography.
Oh, or like Head on the Door, or like all that early stuff.
That Pornography record is fucking weird.
Have you guys ever seen The Cure live?
No.
I came close to it a couple of years ago. I had to sell my tickets. They're supposed to play Meriwether Pavilion because I just picked up a new job at the time. I wish I never picked up that job at that time because they don't play places like Meriwether Pavilion ever.
No, and the reason I bring it up is I'm suggesting next time they come through, go. Just buy the tickets and go, because I saw them play off Wild Mood Swings. I saw them play off Blood Flowers. Kim and I saw them a couple of years ago when they did that Curiosa Festival with Thursday and a bunch of stuff. And they are literally consummate professionals. They come out, he picks up the guitar, they plug in, and they go. And they play and play and play. Oh, nonstop. When I saw them play Wild Mood Swings, it was an evening with The Cure. It was 3.5 hours with no opener. They did the whole new album. They took like a 20-minute intermission, and then they did all the greatest hit stuff. And it was just unreal. All right, so let's take it home, guys. Last track on the album, last track on the commercial release of the album, track number 13, Mr. Lewis shows up again. Bleed, 3 minutes, 57 seconds. Tim?
I'm not a fan of acoustic songs. I just can't get into acoustic. I just kill it after Outer Space.
Matt?
If I want to listen to Dashboard Confessional, I would listen to a Dashboard Confessional
Exactly.
record.
Yeah, it's my exact thoughts.
We've had STP, we've had Bush, we've had Meatwad, and we've had the Dashboard Confessional. This is one hell of a mega mix right here.
And Bush.
And I said Bush, yeah.
Okay.
But here's the thing, like, other than the lyrics for the song, I will say they're good lyrics. Like what he's saying in that song, like they're not bad. Like, he's saying like, I need music. I agree with him. Everybody needs music to make them bleed. I definitely will agree with him on that. But
to me, it was just cliche. Like Tim had a couple songs where he said, okay, this sounds like the 2000s, closing your album with an acoustic, like slow roller, right? Like the last
acoustic
dance.
Hate Your Mother Daddy fucking
it was yeah. It fit in the time, but now going back, it's like, that was kind of a stereotype.
And they don't play that song live, which is good.
Which has got to tell you something. All right, so let's go to final wrap it up. Tim, out of 10, score it.
7. I think the record, You're the Spider, I think shits all over this record. Like, okay, literally diarrhea shits all over this record.
Okay,
I'll give it a 7 though. It's a good listen, but the next one is just fucking top notch, just good. I can listen to that record constantly. Yeah. It's just like I said, it's a typical 2000s radio rock record. It's good for what it is. It's just I don't have to listen to it more than once a year.
Okay, Matt.
I'll give it an 8 because I do listen to it more than once a year. But the thing is, with this band, I do agree that Year of the Spider is the better record when it comes to cold. Yeah. Like, no matter what, hands down, better record. But
I think the opener of that record is better than every song on this record.
Yeah, you got to start in chronological order. You want to have me on next time? We can talk Year of the Spider. That's the one thing.
No, we could do that.
Yeah, we'll do that next. All right, so I think I would agree with Matt. I would give it an 8. I think Year of the Spider is a great album. However, I kind of think I like this one a little bit better because it's a little bit darker and it's a little bit raw and it's not as perfect.
Does not surprise me at all that we have conflicting.
Right. What a surprise. Yeah. Right. What a fucking surprise. All right. So, Matt, so let me ask you for a second. You got a band. What's going on with you guys?
Well. Okay. So I left.
Well, then I feel like a schmuck. Okay.
I left after we were supposed to open for Vended. My guitarist and me, we kind of don't get along. So I'm working on something. I'm going the Holiday Kirk route right now. I kind of got a couple friends together. We're recording something right now, and we're doing something different. So Self-Bias is they kind of went on, no disrespect to them. They're called Ergopraxy Syndrome now, and I'm kind of doing my own thing now. I'm just going by Otonic, which is easier, So, okay. Yeah. And then I'm doing a pop punk rap. I'm helping with a friend doing a pop punk record called Found Missing. So I'm doing that as well.
All right. Well, let us know when you get something else together. We'll definitely have you on.
Yes.
Speaking of pop punk, I wanted to ask you guys: have either of you read that book by Dan Ozzie, Sellout? So it's a story of how major labels invaded the pop punk scene. Bands like Blink-182, Jimmy Eat World, Thursday, all that sort of stuff. I read a review, which was pretty good. I picked it up at Barnes & Noble. I'm going to dig into that next. That's going to be some summer reading. But it talks about how pop punk literally came out of nowhere and all of a sudden was a thing. And it's a lot having to do with the major labels just finding the right trend at the right time and grabbing on it.
So many coming of age.
I don't agree with that at all.
What?
I don't agree with that at all. I think Drive Through Records is pop punk. I mean,
you think Drive Through Records?
Drive Through Records puts that shit on the map for me.
Whatever
starting line.
Whenever I think of pop punk, I think of that meme.
Glory.
Yeah. I think of that meme of
something corporate.
When mom brings the mozzarella sticks out of the oven and there's an extra mozzarella stick and it's the picture, it's the video from Woodstock of Fred and Sam Rivers hopping around. That's the song I hear pop punk. I hear Pizza Party when I hear pop punk.
I mean, and then Victory comes along, puts out Spitalfield, shit like that. I mean, it's that the only reason people say shit like about mainstream is because they found that it's sold and girls liked it and Jimmy Eat World was putting out. So, I mean, that first Jimmy Eat World record, I mean, it's not really a pop punk record.
No, it's more radio friendly rock. That album, Bleed American, though, is perfect. It's a perfect
album.
album.
No, it's good, record. But a lot. See, that's the prop. So you're gonna get me started on here because I love pop punk stuff, but like everyone always associates shit with fucking mainstream late. It's not. Go back and do some fucking research and shut the fuck up because it has nothing to do with that.
If you say pop punk again, Cody's going to show up in the Zoom and start yelling at people.
Yeah,
I like sad shit.
Dude, pop punk comes from the hardcore scene. If you ask me,
Yep.
It all comes from there.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with mainstream because anything mainstream is not really what they say it is. It's kind of like what we're talking about here, like this cold record. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is a new metal gem." It's not. It's a fucking rock record.
No, it's a rock record. They just happen to be lumped in with new metal because of Fred Durst.
Yes, pretty much. Kind of why we're the red hat tonight.
Speaking of insane shit coming from left field, Andy Sneap. Do you remember that name? He was the producer.
Yeah.
He did The More Things Change by Machine Head. He did Breed the Killers by Earth Crisis. He did an Obituary album. Do you know he plays guitar for Judas Priest?
Yeah.
Now,
No.
I didn't know that. I was like,
That's
what
crazy.
that's kind of nuts. That's kind of nuts. All right, so
I'm gonna read that book. That aggravates me that people say.
which one?
Shit.
Sell Out?
Yeah.
Don't read it and then get mad. By the way, did you read that Devin Townsend one?
No, I still have 3 and before that.
Oh,
Didn't put a
dude, that
book
Devin
out?
Townsend one. Yeah, he did a book where he talks about Matt all of his musical projects, and he does
That's
it
a lot.
in chunks. So it's like one whole chunk is Strapping Young Lad, one whole chunk is the Devin Townsend project, another whole chunk is the Devin Townsend band. It was a great read because he interspersed it with like, yeah, I kind of lost my mind. I was doing a lot of cocaine, and yeah, that was it.
Speaking of books, I had to
kill
shout
this,
out
though?
Matt. What?
Want to kill this real quick?
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. So
Yeah.
once again,
Yeah,
Matt,
we'll
thanks
talk
for-
about that though.
Thanks for coming on again. We will have you on for the next Cold album.
Yes.
For all of our on behalf of Matt and Tim and myself, I want to thank all of you for tuning in, watching, listening once again. Find us on Instagram and Twitter at newbreed_podcast, newbreedpodcast@gmail.com. Send us some email, please, even if it's just to say, Jay, your opinions suck and Tim has the worst hot takes. We don't care. Send it over. Tell us Saint Anger is a great new metal album. We'll argue with you on Reddit. Find us on r/Reddit. Come
argue with me that Disembodies a new metal band.
Oh,
I'll
Disembody
slap
is a
you
new
through
metal
the internet.
band, and Candiria. Yeah, we're gonna get into that one. So once again, we want to thank everybody for watching, listening, tuning in, and until next time, this is the New Breed Podcast saying peace.